So somehow my video called Solutions, something happened to it, like all the audio went away. So I got to redo, try and make it shorter and stuff and kind of different. So one of the solutions, obviously power. Solar panels on the other side of this wall, comes in to this breaker, out of the breaker. And this is just a kill switch so I can turn the solar off if I want to work on something. Goes into this charge controller here, and then out to this battery, and then the battery out to the inverter. And then I have two power strips, one here, charging all these batteries and these radios and this cattle prod. Like I said, these are batteries for this weed eater. They're fully charged. This shortwave radio, fully charged. 1,000,000 candle power spotlight, fully charged. This also does solar charging too, so I could just set it outside. But these are USB powered air compressor pumps for flat tires. So these are both charged. You throw these in your cars. If you have you need some air in your tire, hook this up, turn it on. Should get you to wherever you need to go to take care of whatever's wrong with your tire. Again, these are all just batteries for, this is for a drill, this is for a drill, this is to charge those weed eater batteries, and this is for a Sawzall. And that's it. And I'll show you the rest on the outside, what I've done. Aside from the skylights that I put in, and the wind turbine to suck the hot air out, and I'll show you that here in a second. And that's the solar panel on the outside. Just one panel. That's 240 watts, but I probably could charge all that stuff with a 100-watt panel too. And then I've started the front side, but the back side's done. I'll go over here, and you'll see I put all the air vents on the back side here. And I've got one in on the front, so I've got 4 more of those to go. One other thing I was going to show you, as I've talked about it before, is you don't need all this stuff. If you wanted to make a charging station like this to charge batteries, radios, phones, tablets, whatever, you can do it with, instead of having solar panel, charge controller, battery, inverter, you can do it with just a solar generator and a solar panel. So like EcoFlow, and there's all kinds of brands. Get a power inverter. I call them like, I usually say like a power generator or something like that. They call them solar generators, but I think that's kind of a misnomer, because yes, you can use solar to power them or to charge them, but there's like 3 ways you can charge them. It's not just solar. So I think they threw the solar in there just as a selling point, but get some of these out of the way. I've got another inverter here. I think it's a 1,000-watt inverter, and another charge controller, another charge controller, another charge controller, another battery, because I'm going to be doing more solar. But if you just get, you can go on Amazon and get a 100-watt solar panel, like Call Sun. There's a few of them. They're around $60. And then this Y adapter, because the solar generators have this, I think it's called an XT60 plug in the back, and then the MT4 are the male and female that'll come off the back of the solar panel. So this is just a Y adapter. Plug this into the solar panel, this into the back of your power generator or solar generator, and you've got power. So you don't have to, with just those two items, solar panel, like I said, I'd get 100 watt. And like I said, full-size 100-watt panels, about $60 on Amazon. One of these inverters or splitters, I don't remember what they cost. They're $20 max, maybe less. And either an EcoFlow or like I said, there's a lot of different brands that you can get. And just mount the solar panel somewhere outside, and then, you know, have the cables come into your house or your outbuilding directly into the EcoFlow or whatever you choose to get. And then into the EcoFlow, you would just plug in some power strips. And you would have power in an outbuilding, camper, and it's also portable. So you can take the EcoFlow and the panel, and you could even take like your Starlink router and I hate calling it a satellite dish because the Starlink ones they're not dishes, they're flat. But anyway, the Starlink satellite receiver and the modem or router, whatever they call it, and go portable and set it up and have power wherever you're at. So that's a solution for power. And like I said, it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to have, you know, your entire roof covered in solar panels and 12 huge, heavy, expensive batteries. You could do that. I mean, if you want to power your freezers and your, you know, microwave and all your heavy electronics at home. But if you just want to do stuff like this, you can plug a TV into this, power tools, your internet, whatever. Space heater might be pushing it. Those draw a lot of volts and amps. I don't know. I haven't tested this with the space heater. Those can get, but it'll run fans. So in the summertime, you could just plug a fan into here if this was in your house and just run a fan in your house for free. So that's one of the solutions for power. And next I will discuss a solution for food. Okay, now we get to the food portion. So since we somehow just seemed to dodge the EBT apocalypse that was being threatened, now would be a good time to talk about alternative solutions to raiding Walmarts and stealing food. So this is my Harvest Right. This is a 6-tray food freeze dryer, but honestly, if you're in the market for one of these, I would get a 4-tray, 5 at the most. The 6, I don't use all 6 trays. Very rarely have I ever used, maybe a handful of times I've used 6 trays. 4 trays are usually what I end up using. 6 is kind of excessive, but I got a good deal, I think. I don't even remember at this point. But so these Harvest Right freeze dryers will basically make MREs. That's kind of how I look at it. So if you do have like EBT, if you're on SNAP or whatever, instead of these people who go out and buy like, you know, $1,200 worth of soda, Funyuns, and Doritos, get the ingredients to make, I don't know, spaghetti and meatballs, lasagna, enchiladas, beef stew, tuna casserole, whatever you like, it doesn't matter. And freeze dry all that stuff. The way, I don't know, I'm sure most people understand how freeze drying works. It's different from dehydrating. It literally freezes the food and then dries it to remove all water. So like the only things like you can't freeze dry water because it's water. When you got done, you would just have nothing. And I found peanut butter very difficult. People have done it. Peanut butter is very oily, and I think you would just have to keep freeze drying over and over and over for, I don't know how many hours peanut butter takes. I did peanut butter, and honestly, I don't think if I opened that right now that I would trust it, just because it's so hard to get all the oils out of peanut butter. But pretty much anything else, any fruit, vegetable, candy, people do saltwater taffy. I've done Jolly Ranchers and Skittles and sold them at the local convenience store. And recently I took all the boxed macaroni, not all. I found out when I moved a lot of my food shelving out to the shipping container that I have more boxed macaroni and cheese somehow. I've accumulated a ludicrous amount. There's got to be at least 50, there's got to be more than 50 boxes. So I took I think 7 boxes and made a large portion of macaroni and cheese, and then I added some stuff to it to make it a little more. I put green chilies and some seasoning and stuff in it, but you could put like chopped up hot dogs or whatever just to make it a little tastier, and add some stuff for protein and stuff like that for a SHTF type of situation. But then these are all Mylar bags. I don't know, there's a whole bunch of Mylar bags. So the way I do it, and I would assume most people do it, so let's say you fill 4 trays here with spaghetti and meatballs, and you turn it on, run it, and it'll tell you like when it thinks they're done. What I do is I take a scale. I'll take, let's say this tray here. Always use the same slot when you're weighing whatever you just freeze dried. I take this tray out and I'll weigh it. I'll write that down, and then here it'll say something like add dry time. I think the default's 2 hours. So I would do it for another 2 hours and then repeat the process. Take this tray out and weigh it. Now, if it weighs less, that means it's still taking water out. So you got to put it in again and add more dry time. Once you get to the point where you dry it and take it out and weigh it, and it equals the weight that you had the previous 2 hours prior, they're done. I'm sure there's people who eyeball it or whatever. I'm not going to risk something like that. I'm going to make sure, because the shelf life on freeze-dried food is 25 to 30 years. 6 years from now, I don't want to open up something and I want to be completely confident. Like, I know for a fact that I did not put this up until I knew all the water had been removed from it. Then I throw oxygen absorber in there, seal it, and then the Harvest Rights come with these. This is just a heat sealer. It's just one more layer. Once you zip seal, put the oxygen absorber in it, I kind of squeeze the air out the best I can, zip it, and then I heat seal it. And then label it. When I first started doing this, I would put broccoli, October 23 or something like that. Since they last so long, I realized putting the date on there is kind of stupid. I don't really need to. So now I would just put enchiladas. And I usually do, some items are bulk, I freeze-dried broccoli. It's just like a bag of broccoli. But when it comes to a meal, say lasagna or something, I'll cut it into a portion like the size you would put on your plate and freeze dry each of those individually so that each bag is basically a serving. And so if these people that are throwing a fit about EBTs being cut off or whatever would just think more than 10 seconds into the future and used that money to buy some of the stuff to make, let's just say, lasagna. Make 1 tray of lasagna, freeze dry that. The rest of the stuff you get that week or that month or whatever, go ahead and do whatever for now. But just have a portion of it set aside to make meals for times like what they thought was going to happen didn't happen, of course, because nothing ever does. But it fixes two problems. One is if the government shuts down and stops putting money on your EBT card, you've got these freeze-dried meals that you've made ahead of time. The other thing is during SHTF, you might have money on your EBT card and go to the store and there's nothing on the shelves. So it does you no good. So I know most of these people who like grift off the government, they're not high IQ when it comes to things like thinking ahead. They're thinking of the now. How much garbage can I get this month on my EBT card? Just put aside, you know, $50 a month or whatever on your card. It doesn't have to be that much. Just enough to make like a big tray or a big pot, you know, beef stew or spaghetti and meatballs or whatever, and freeze dry it. Now, a lot of people say like, oh, it must be nice. You know, freeze dryers are very expensive. Yeah, they are. That's why I would recommend, if you're looking into it, I would go with a 4 tray. You are going to save some money that way. But yeah, they're not cheap, and there's a reason for that, because I mean, think about it. You're making MREs. When everything falls apart, you'll have as much food as you took the time to make ahead of time and store. So yeah, they're definitely worth it. But changing your habits and some of the things that you may not realize you spend as much money on every month as you do. You know, there's people who every day on their way to work, they stop at Starbucks. Boom, $8 for a latte. They might buy a couple for, you know, friends in the office. They spent $25, $30 every day on the way to Starbucks. Or, you know, I don't know, golf. I don't know what it costs to go golfing, but I'm sure it's not free. Going out to eat. I know I don't like do that, but I know people are saying the prices are insane anymore with like restaurants and stuff. Cut that out. You'd only probably have to make these major cuts for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and you could probably get a 4 tray. Trust me, your friends and family are going to thank you if you took the initiative to get something like this and then made a bunch of meals and freeze dried them. And like I said, you can do, I've done apples, mangoes. The one that's really good, if you're ever going to do this, is freeze dried watermelon is fantastic. I do like mangoes, peaches, apricots, apples, bananas, all that. I mean, all the fruit and stuff is really good. You can do, people freeze dry, they make meals for their dogs and freeze dry them. So things happen, they've got basically dog meals prepared ahead of time. There's a lot you can do with it other than spiral, make TikTok videos and threaten to like just walk out of Walmart with a cart full of food because you're getting yours. But so this is my main solution. If you price MREs, if you're to go online and get one of those buckets from Harvest Mountain or whatever the heck it's called, or just, you know, find military surplus MREs, they're expensive now. I mean, even back years ago when I used to buy some of them, you're talking $8 a meal. A lot of times that was kind of the average, $7 to $8. Like if you went to a military surplus store and found a bunch of MREs, rifle through them, pick out the ones you think are tasty. They were at least $7 per MRE. So, and now I don't even know, but I know those buckets you can get with, and honestly, people have done taste tests on like YouTube and stuff with freeze drying their own like beef stew and then getting the, I don't know, are they called something mountain, eating one of their beef stews, and the one that they made blows it away. So you're going to get better food. You're going to know what's in it because you're going to make it. It's going to be cheaper, and it's not going to take very long for this thing to start paying for itself. And especially, like I said, I've sold bags of freeze-dried Skittles and Jolly Ranchers, and I sell them for what, $4 a bag. So I usually sell them in 10 packs, get $40, and then who I sell them to, they sell them for like $5 a bag, so they make $1 a bag. Okay, so I mean, what's a bag of Skittles cost? You can get a bulk bag of Skittles or Jolly Ranchers for like $10, and then make a ton of freeze-dried like Jolly Ranchers. And there's a lot of ways to make your money back on these things, but that's not even the main point. The main point is you'll have food when things go sideways, and it's going to be good food. It's going to be food you can trust. You're going to know what's in it. It's going to be made the way you like it because you made it, and you're going to be a hero. So who wouldn't want that? So here's some examples. That tray of enchiladas I bought from those ladies that have the food truck, that's another thing. You don't even have to technically do the cooking if you don't want to. These ladies make like a certain type of meal, like once a week. They might change it up. Like last week it was enchiladas. So I just told them ahead of time. I said, yeah, when you make your enchiladas, make another tray. I'll just buy the whole tray. So they sold me the tray for $15. I got 15 freeze-dried servings. So it's $1 a serving. Another thing I've done, and they're doing lasagna this weekend. So they're going to make me a tray of lasagna. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll have probably 12 to 15 or whatever servings of lasagna. So I'm not even doing the cooking or the cleaning. All I'm doing is buying the tray of food, bringing it home, freeze drying it. Another thing I did was I just took a bunch of onions and I chopped them up, and then I freeze dried them, and then I ran them through a Ninja or food processor, and I made onion powder. I did it with garlic as well, made garlic powder. And then some of the jars, I added like Celtic sea salt or whatever, when I ground it up, and made onion salt and garlic salt. So instead of like, let's see, buying a thing of garlic powder, I just freeze dried a bunch of garlic, ground it up, and and it was. So you can make your own spices, basically. I've also just got done doing milk. So I made my own powdered milk. And so now, or instant, I don't know what you call it, dehydrated milk. Freeze-dried milk. Just add water and I have milk again. And I did that because a lot of things take milk. So I could spend, a month freeze-drying all those macaroni and cheese boxes I have, which I probably will. I'll probably make some more. Right now my closet's full of about a dozen macaroni and cheese packages like these enchiladas. Or if I just freeze dry a bunch of milk, then I can always make the macaroni and cheese in those boxes during SHTF, because I have the milk powdered to reconstitute, add to the boiled noodles along with some butter, and I have macaroni and cheese. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to just go ahead and make all that macaroni and cheese ahead of time, but I'm still going to do the freeze-dried milk just so I have, because a lot of baked goods and stuff like that require milk. And so I don't drink milk, but I'm okay with using it as like an ingredient to something. I would never just drink a glass of milk. I think it's disgusting. But so that's another thing, is like, how much does it cost to go buy one of those big 5 or 10 pound bags of onions, come home, chop it up, put it on the trays, freeze dry it, and then run it through a food processor? And this stuff is really good, actually. There's nothing in here but powdered onions. So, if you go to the store and buy onion powder, there's going to be other crap in it, okay? This is nothing but freeze-dried, ground-up onion, nothing else. Unless you add the salt to make onion salt, but yeah. So this stuff's really good. I've been using it. You can see that it takes them out. I think there's an oxygen absorber in there. I'm sure there is, but it's buried in there now. But that's another thing you can do with the freeze dryers. And like, basically, like, your imagination is the limit. Another thing you can freeze dry that would be pretty sweet is salsa. Make homemade salsa, or if you want to buy store-bought, if there's like a certain type of salsa you really like, pour it on the trays in there, freeze dry it, package it up, and then during the apocalypse, you just add water, hot water to the packages, and you've got salsa. So you can, like, literally your imagination is your only limiting factor, unless you can't do water. And peanut butter is a challenge, but people freeze dry saltwater taffy. They freeze dry. Oh, what are some of the? I'm trying to think of some of the stuff I've done. I put it all in totes and it's out in the shipping container, so like I don't even know anymore. But I did a lot of individual stuff, a lot of like vegetables and fruits and stuff like that. But I just recently started focusing more on meals, and I'm fortunate enough to have those ladies that own that food truck agree to make me a tray that they'll sell me every time they cook. And so, within a few months, I'm going to have a lot. Like I said, this weekend, I think, is lasagna. And I'll add that to the enchiladas I already did. And, and that's like the stuff that for their food truck, I could ask them, say, hey, like at your house, could you make like a big vat of like they have like, green chili stew and stuff like that. A lot of people make here, pozole. I'll say, like, if you make a big batch of that at home, I'll buy that from you too. So I'm basically going around to these middle-aged and older women that, love to cook, and say, you make me a batch of whatever, and I'll just buy that from you. And then I just come home, freeze dry it, and package it.